Well, hey, good morning, everybody. It is Nugget of Truth time with Pastor Matt, and not just because the sign says so. It is Nugget of Truth number 82 this morning, and this is it. Nugget of Truth number 82. Like the gospel, grace is not a one-time thing that enables our salvation. It is a continuing act of God that helps us in our transformation and helps us from feeling discouraged, guilty, and condemned. Yesterday we talked about how God is just and he has no choice to address evil. He just can't ignore it. And lots of times we don't have a very balanced view of God. We either go to that extreme, that God is only justful and full of wrath, or we go to the other extreme and say he's only love and it's only grace. I don't know where you might fall on that continuum, on that spectrum. But I think for the most part, in a lot of respects, we don't understand the full extent of God's grace. And I love that phrase this morning, to see grace as a continuing act of God and not just a one and done thing. And I think for the most part, while certainly some people take advantage of God's grace, I don't know if they have a full understanding of who God is when they take advantage of his grace. But the point is that for most of us, when we beat ourselves up, when we get discouraged, when we find ourselves susceptible to the same old lie over and over and over again, or the same weakness or the same failure, a lot of times we beat ourselves up. And I think it's because we don't understand God's grace. One of the funner things that I get a chance to do here at Deep Rivers Church is lead people through this discovery book. It's kind of a get to know the church class. And we do this thing the very first week. I call it 5 deep thoughts. And deep thought number 4 is when Christ died, God thought of us as diving as well. It's just, that's the gospel, and we don't understand the grace of God, and that when Jesus was crucified for our sins, because he was a human and because we're human, God sees us as being crucified, and that's a deep thought, and it goes back again to our limited understanding of God's grace. And when you are walking in relationship with Jesus, you should only see yourself the way that God sees you. And again, this is a hard phrase for a lot of people to hear and understand, but when God sees me, he sees a crucified me. In some ways, he sees Jesus and not me. And anyway, so all that boils down to, again, that's a big rabbit trail, but it's a life-changing rabbit trail, that we need to see grace as a continuing act. Don't take advantage of God's grace and live your life any which way you want, thinking that it all works out and that God's love, is bigger than anything else. Because yesterday we talked about that. There's consequences. God has to address evil. But I think oftentimes we don't have a deep understanding of God's grace, and that plays itself out when we get discouraged and disappointed in ourselves. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us this morning for our Nugget of Truth 82. Take care. God bless. Have a great day. Bye-bye.